Hello everybody, welcome back to my movie review series. Today we'll be discussing The Hunger Games. Obviously widely popular series. First 4 movies starring Jennifer Lawrence. Then I think there's another one now coming out for sometime this year I believe. With Rachel Zegler as the main character. So I'm kind of rewatching it. I definitely want to see that one. I can't afford to go to the movies, absolutely not. But you know how we do it. I'll give you my overall impressions and grade after reading some logistics about the movie. If you've not seen it, would like to, once I give my grade, there will be spoiler alerts. We're discussing the plot synopsis and character development, and any similar movies or major themes. I did not read the books, but I've seen them before. I'm pretty sure I've seen. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen all of them. Don't remember the plot that well, at least past the first one. Then I'll redo this series, probably be the next 3 videos of the movie series. But it was released in 2012. It is a PG-13. It's an action/science fiction, which, like the science fiction, runtime of 2 hours and 22 minutes. Google says it's harrowing, intense, and gripping. Description says, in what was once North America, the capital of Panem maintains its hold on its 12 districts by forcing them each to select a boy and a girl, called tributes, to compete in a nationally televised event called the Hunger Games. Every citizen must watch as the youths fight to the death until only one remains. District 12 tribute Katniss Everdeen, played by Jennifer Lawrence, has little to rely on other than her hunting skills and sharp instincts, in an arena where she must weigh survival against love. So, budget of $78 million, did close to $700, and widely popular series. Again, I was voted in high school most likely to win the Hunger Games, and damn sure I'm gonna fucking win the Hunger Games. Life is the Hunger Games, and I'm fucking hungry. But 81% liked it on Google, 84% liked it on Rotten Tomatoes, and 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb. What did I think? I enjoyed it. Big fan of Jennifer. I have love interest in Jennifer Lawrence. You can come take my virginity, still intact, because who would ever want to interact with somebody who's a threat because of his presence and his voice is too loud? So, sweet, I learned to sing and now everyone's scared of me. Awesome. I love it. It's so fun. Life is so fun. But overall, I like science fiction. There was novelty to this, certainly when it came out. Again, I don't even know, there's plenty of like fight to the death types of shows and movies. But overall, I thought this was a convincing storyline. I like the whole series. I'm gonna give it a B+. Could be in the A range, but again, just if I haven't seen it, once you already know the whole plot, it's like it can't sneak up on you. So certainly entertaining. Might have been an A- if I was reviewing it for the first time when I watched it in 2012 or 13. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Convincing characters. Some screaming. There is some screaming. Just don't like screaming. Characterization with insecurities is just always off-putting. I've said it a million times. But if you've not seen it and would like to, I'd recommend it. And certainly there's another one coming out sometime this year. If it's not out already, again, I'm not checking the box office anymore. So whatever comes up on my, whatever one subscription I can afford a month, and then the free stuff. But regardless, I definitely recommend this one. If you've not seen it, there will be spoiler alerts. So the movie opens up, you get some background since this is the first one. And like I said, there are books. This is based on a series of novels. I've not read them. But you get some context of the Hunger Games. You can get the 12 districts. The boys and girls have to be between 12 and 18. And it's a way to remind them they've had, that this is the first one in the movie, but it's the characterization. It's the 74th Hunger Games. So it's been going along for a while in their culture, or in the writing script. I thought this was a strong writing script. But regardless, and so you get some background of that, and you meet Katniss Everdeen. She lives in District 12 with her mother and sister Primrose Everdeen, and the mother, I don't know if they have a name, but minor character. And she is basically, she's just like helping her like calm down her sister a little bit, who's nervous for this drawing of who's going to be the tribute because it's her first time. And so it's like, if District 12 is the poorest district, and so if you like trade more, you can put more your name in the lottery more than once, like for like more food or supplies or whatever. And so Katniss is just kind of calming down her sister, and then you meet one of the Hemsworth brothers. They're both kind of in this one, I think, or at least on the cast list, but I can't recognize who. But you have another kind of, Katniss has a friend. She goes hunting in the woods for a deer. The friend scares off the deer. I believe it's one of the Hemsworth, can't recognize him. but is kind of her friend, which kind of later on develops that it definitely looks like he has feelings for her, and then the teen relationship aspect definitely develops into the other movies as well. That's kind of what's going on. They're getting ready for this drawing, and so the drawing comes up. You have what's called peacekeepers, and so Katniss and her friend who are thinking about like if we could just run, we'll just run away, and they're like, they'll find us, blah blah blah, and so they have the drawing, and Primrose Everdeen gets picked, and so Katniss Everdeen is distraught that her sister's gotten picked and decides to volunteer as tribute. And so I guess that's the first volunteer in the 74 games, at least from District 12, because I think the ones in District 1 like are trained and then voluntarily go to these games. And so she is now signed up, and you have a lot of these characters from District 1 are very flamboyant or just dressed really strangely. And so you have this character Effie Trinket, who's kind of like the representative for District 12, I guess. But she gets Katniss Everdeen, and then Peeta Mellark is the boy from District 12. And so Katniss and Peeta kind of know each other. You have some flashback scenes of like Peeta throwing her some bread and now like going into the rain to give it to her. And so regardless, they are now the tributes. And so they get on this high-speed train to go to the Capitol. And so Woody Harrelson is like the guy that has won. He's like their coach or their mentor, and he's won the Hunger Games himself before, heavily into the booze. And so he basically tells them, Peeta's like, let's get some advice. And he's like, I can't tell you anything, you're probably going to die. And so it takes him a while for Woody to kind of warm up to them. Katniss's characterization is like she's not very likable, and she has to, be more of herself, or like less dense of a teenager, I guess. Regardless, the first thing they do is they have a parade or an entrance. They show the tributes, and so they have this, the girl on fire is kind of the thing that she's called, because they have this dress because she's showing courage that she volunteered as tribute. So her dress or just outfit has like fake flames, it's animation. But they come in, parade around the tributes, and Katniss and Peeta are wearing just like these fire clothing. And so they enter in. They have like 2 weeks to prepare and train and do these different assessment things, and then get ready for the actual games. So I thought the plot moved well from setting up the context to the training to it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like the first hour is kind of like the intro or the setting up, and the last hour and 20 minutes is like the actual Hunger Games of them fighting. And so they do that. They do different training skills. They're all of the districts trained together. And then they have a specialty thing where you're supposed to show them your skills. And so Woody Harrelson, I'm just gonna call him Woody because that's not his name in the movie. But he's like, you don't want to show your strengths in the general assessments, but you want to show them in the specificity ones, or like what's your strongest thing. And so Katniss goes in there, and she's a hunter, and so she's good with bows and arrows. And so she shoots one of her arrows. The District 1 or whoever's running the stuff is like not paying attention to her, and so she fires one arrow. They're watching her. She fires one, misses the target. They laugh at her. Fires the next one, hits it right in the bullseye. They're not looking at her, so she decides, like, they're up in this like booth area, and they have this big pig with an apple in it, and she shoots the apple out of the pig's mouth, right next to these people's heads. And so Woody is very happy with that. Effie is not happy with that. But Woody tells him, whatever, make yourself memorable. And so after they finish their 2-week assessment, you have they give you like rankings from 1 to 12 about how strong you are. And so Peeta gets an 8 because he's got strength, and Katniss, because of her stunt, gets an 11. And so you have two tributes from each district. Most of them are minor characters, but you do have one that's pretty major, Rue, who's just the youngest girl there. She must be barely 12, and so she's from District 11, and she's kind of like following Katniss around during the training. Regardless, they have before the last day before they go on, Peeta on camera says that he's got a crush on Katniss. Katniss gets mad at him, but it starts developing later into the plot about them being star-crossed lovers. So the next day they're going to go into the Hunger Games, and they get flown there, and it's this big futuristic thing where there's big control panels where they can affect the environment, add stuff in there, and blah blah blah. And so the first 2 weeks you're trying to get people to like you because you can get sponsorships and they can drop things into the game to help you. And so they get flown there, they get trackers put in their arms, and there's this big cornucopia center area. And Woody's like, don't run for it. It's just going to be a bloodbath off the get-go. Find water, find high ground, and start, building supplies after things calm down. And so they get put into the games. The games start. Big bloodbath at the beginning. It gets PG-13. It's not super gory. There's obviously death, but it's not like super gory. Regardless, there's some blood, and there's a bunch of supplies. And so Katniss runs away. They all split up. But then you have this kind of a... Katniss is, where does she go? I don't know, she just runs away. She climbs trees a little bit. But one of the characters from District 1, Cato, one of the stronger guys, and again, like in the training sessions that I do believe they say that the District 1 people volunteer. And so Cato has now got an alliance, and he's got a couple of people following him, and they're just trying to hunt down the rest of them. And so I forget, going to miss some of the scenes. But Katniss, regardless, is, I think the first kind of thing that happens is she's just running away from these people, from like this little group run by Cato, and so she gets chased. People start chasing her, so she climbs up a tree, and she does see that Peeta is with this Cato dude in his group. And so he climbs up it. She gets cornered into a tree. They're trying to kill her, and they're shooting arrows at her. They can't get really past her. I know I'm missing a scene already, but she just basically grabbed like one bag, and she's been like sleeping in the trees. And the Hunger Games last just until they're dead. So it goes over for like many days. But when she's stuck in the tree, she gets help from Rue, who was also, she got a pretty high score for being able to climb trees and stay hidden. And so there's these basically modified hornets, bees, in this big thing. And Rue's like, saw it down. Just these people are basically, they can't get to her in the tree, so they're just waiting at the base of the tree for her to come down so they can kill her. And so knock the beehive down so it scares them away or kills them. And so they're modified again. The outside people can put stuff in or modify the environment. So she goes up there, she gets stung by the bees a little bit, and they cause hallucinations. And so, but she has to, survive. So she gets stung, she's starting to have hallucinations, cuts the thing down, and the bees scatter. There's like 4 or 5 people, including Peeta, who doesn't really want to kill Katniss, but he's certainly along with the alliance of Cato. And these modified wasps, hornets, scare 3 of them away and kills one of the girls. And so the girl's carrying the bow and arrow. So once Katniss gets down from there, she is able to finally, she gets some weaponry, and it's her, her forte is the bow and arrow. So that's how she gets the bow and arrows. But regardless, she's having hallucinations because she got stung by these bees as well. And so Peeta comes back. She has some hallucinations like being back at home and blah, blah, blah. But Peeta comes back and it's like, get out of here, run. And so Katniss, in this hallucinogenic state, runs away and then kind of wakes up 2 or 3 days later. And Rue has basically been taking care of her, keeping her, changing leaves to keep her camouflaged and out of harm's way. And so Katniss and Rue become friends. They decide that they are going to destroy Cato's stash. His little clan has basically hoarded all of the supplies in the center. And so they have this plan where they're going to burn some smoke to make stuff. Actually, I guess there is a scene before this. Katniss is just like run away from everybody, and the way she gets taken back to the people is, or get pushed back towards the other tributes, is they have a fire, and so she does get injured in that scene. And so the Woody Harrelson character, I believe, she gets a sponsor or something, and they're able to have some medicine where she's able to cure her burn wound. And so missed that scene, but regardless, now her and Rue are going to try to blow up the supplies of the main stash of Cato. And so they do that. Katniss watches somebody else run up there, and they have a bunch of landmines set around the supplies, and so they see all of that happening. And so Katniss sees that if she just shoots this bag of apples, they will fall down and it'll blow up the mines and it'll blow up the supplies. So she does that, destroys the supplies. The dude from the clan that's supposed to be watching over the supplies and gets blamed for it. Cato snaps his neck, and now you hear Rue screaming. So Rue is screaming, and Katniss finds her, and she's been trapped in this like net trap that's falling from a tree. And so she cuts her loose, and right as they're freeing Rue, one of the dudes from the clan comes and throws a spear, and Katniss ducks, and at the same time fires an arrow and hits him in the heart, and then you see Rue has been mortally wounded. And so she dies. Katniss sings to her, makes a little grave for her, holds her till the end, and then pays tribute to her. They do this, I don't know, just put up 3 fingers in the movie. And so once they do that, there's a riot in District 11 actually, and so Katniss doesn't have the favor of these people, the Capitol running the stuff, because they don't want to have riots and the order of the districts upset. And so regardless, Rue is dead, and then they make an announcement saying that if 2 people from the same district make it to the end, of the last 2, then both of them can live. And so Katniss goes to find Peeta again, and he's walking around along the river. She's walking around along the river because Rue told her that's where Peeta was, and she finds Peeta basically just heavily camouflaged because he's been wounded with a sword and has hurt his leg, but he has been severely injured. So they find a cave, and there's not too many of them left now. And so they make an announcement where it's like, we're going to leave a help package for everyone needs something, so we're going to put stuff in here, and it's going to be back in the center place. So again, everyone knows where that's at, and they're going to have to, fight each other, be wary. And so Katniss knows Peeta desperately needs medicine. At this point, they're definitely playing into the romance. And Katniss kisses Peeta, and again, the entire population is watching. It's a big television show. And so now they're developing the love story, and Katniss waits for Peeta to fall asleep and goes to get the supplies. Peeta doesn't want her to go. And so she goes up there, she sees one of the chicks run and grab her supplies. She makes a run for it, and then one of the other girls, who's really good with throwing stars and throwing blades, starts attacking Katniss, gets her pinned down, and then the other dude, the dude from Rue's district, who's a pretty big dude, comes over and rips the chick off of Katniss and just breaks her neck or something, smashes her against the wall until she's dead. And Katniss is able to get her supplies, goes back to Peeta. They have the healing medicine, and they both are healthy by the morning. So now the people running it kind of want the show to wrap up, or for them to die. And so Katniss and Peeta, once they're healed, they're like, we needed to look for some food. And so Katniss goes hunting, and Peeta goes looking for berries or just for something they can gather. And he finds these berries, and they're separated. And then whenever a tribute dies, there's a cannon boom in the background. And so Katniss hears the cannon boom and goes to see those Peeta and sees that he's been collecting these berries that are poisonous and will kill them. And so she finds Peeta unharmed, and the boom was the little redhead chick had been following them and thought there was food and took it, and she was the one that died. And so now you only have a couple people left, like Cato, Katniss, Peeta, and maybe the big dude from District 11. Regardless, now they put in these modified dog things that are killing things, and so they throw those in there. That gets the guy from District 11. So now it's pretty much just Katniss, Peeta, and Cato. And so they all get chased back to the landing pod of how they got put into the games, and these big dogs are chasing them. And so all 3 of them are on top of them with these dogs around them. They're fighting it out. Cato gets Peeta kind of by the neck. Katniss has her bow drawn, and so Peeta's just shoot me. There only can be one winner anyway, or we're not going to make it. Because at this point you can still have 2 winners. Katniss shoots Cato in the hand, and turns around, and then he kind of falls back into the pit of dogs, and then Katniss shoots him again, so he doesn't have to get mauled extremely. Getting mauled by a major theme, getting mauled to death by an animal that would not be high on the list of ways to go out. But regardless, that's what happens, and so they modify it's at nighttime, and they modify it so it's the daytime now, and then they make the announcement saying that they revoke that there can be 2 winners and they have to kill each other, or one of them has to kill one of the other ones. And so basically Katniss decides that they don't have to have a winner, and she wants to stick it to them and kind of show them up. And so they saw these berries, and they're like, on the count of 3, we're both going to eat these berries and we're going to die together. And so the runners of the game stop it right as they're about to do that, because that would affect them, at least the structure of the games or whatever. And so kind of like the final resolutions of the movie is them, getting some like exit interviews by this big like flamboyant crowd, and they're going back on the train, and Peeta's like, what do we do now? And Katniss like, just act like it never happened, and Peeta's like, I don't want to act like that. You definitely haven't, developing the relationship, which certainly develops into the later movies, because again, you have some flashback scenes to the friend. So that's a minor character, one of the Hemsworths, at the beginning, where it's clearly he has interest in Katniss as well. So regardless, that's kind of like the resolution of the movie, and there's definitely sequels, so I'm sure I missed some scenes, but regardless, I found it entertaining. I liked the series. I thought there was novelty to the plot, certainly when it first came out. So thank you for watching my review of The Hunger Games, and I'll be reviewing the other ones shortly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.